Hello everyone and welcome back to the Damage Report under lockdown. And I'm not gonna lie to you, maybe it's just because it's a Monday morning. Maybe it's because it's like, I don't know, what week is it? The 7th week? The 8th week that we've been doing this? Things are starting to fray a little bit. Like, you know, we're trying to hold it together, but like little things around the edges tech-wise and mentally and emotionally are starting to come apart. I'm gonna do my best. And helping me to do my best, Francesca Fiorentini. How's it going? Welcome back.
8. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's been for a while. Just like when I started the stream, I had maybe 60% confidence that I was doing it correctly. I've done it many times, but like little things are just starting to be like, wait, did I do that? Is this like, I don't know.
Yeah, you need like a pilot's checklist, you know?
That's a good idea. That is a good idea.
Just you can put your brain on literal autopilot. That's pretty much how it's actually safer to run your plane like that.
Probably, yeah.
When you run a plane, let me tell you.
Yeah, you're going to run a plane just like Trump is going to shoot down those boats.
Yeah,
we don't get vehicles. We just don't.
No, not anymore. Wheels? What are those?
I haven't driven much. But thank you for being here. Very glad to have you here. Everyone who is already piling into the chat, thank you so much for doing that. We are going to be tracking that, and I think I've figured out a little bit better way to do that with how things have been changing. But there's over 1,000 of you here, and it looks like 4 out of 5 of you aren't pulling your weight when it comes to the like button, are you? Okay? It ain't difficult. Click it. You might like it, honestly. And it's free. We don't charge you. There's no tax. But anyway, I'm joking. It would be great if you do that, though, because it lets more people know that we're actually streaming. And then they will be able to tune in as we discuss such stories as the CDC's revelation of what the likely toll of Donald Trump's plan for COVID, what it will actually be. Who is treated worse, Donald Trump or Abraham Lincoln? We've got more on sexual assault, YouTube battling misinformation and losing. And then, if we get to it, I gotta show you something I saw on Twitter that just makes me want to just quit the whole thing. Just quit everything. Sometimes it happens.
Which tweet of the millions that make you want to quit life?
It's not, I'm not saying it's rare, but I don't know if it included. And I just, like, sometimes the only way to deal with something is to inflict it on others. It's like in that movie, It Follows. So I'm going to give it to you. Okay? Anyway.
Is that the one where Sandra Bullock is in a boat?
Oh, that was good too. That was Bird Box.
Okay.
It Follows is the one where a thing is trying to get you that only you can see, and it will never stop coming for you, so you just have to run. It's like an allegory for STDs or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But quite a good horror movie. I do recommend it. Okay, with that, everybody, continue commenting, sending in tweets at hashtag TDR Live, and also super chatting, and we will be responding to some of those in just a little bit. But I do want to start off with something that's not like a news story, but I think definitely we need to touch base with for just a few minutes. I want to talk about a number. It is one of many numbers that we've had to grapple with for some time, and by the time I show it to you, it's out of date. And I want to stop for a second, and I want to talk about this. The number is 68,715. So this is a screen capture that I did while producing the story this morning for the current verified number of coronavirus deaths as of when I was prepping this. The number, of course, is already higher. That's out of date. And the number is meaningless anyway because it doesn't include many of the people who have died but will never be registered as having been killed by COVID-19. But even so, 68,715. We've done, I couldn't tell you how many stories of individual tragedies over the last couple of years on the Damage Report. And it just kills you when one person's life is unnecessarily ended. And it's 68,715 right now that we know of, verified. And so, Francesca, I want to bring you in. I know this is weird because honestly, we could do this any day. We probably will do it again. And like we see that number and we know that it's a tragedy. I'm sure that almost everyone in the comments thinks it's a tragedy. And yet, for most people, and even like when I'm not actively thinking about it, I feel like it's kind of been normalized. Like it's not the tragedy. Like if on March 1st I'd told you 69,000 people are going to die, I think most people would have said, no, that's not going to happen. That's crazy. That could never happen. And now we're here, and people have like kind of gotten used to it already, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting also the ways that the comparison to 9/11 was initially used, and now it's like even comparing the deaths on 9/11 to the deaths from coronavirus is ridiculous, right? You know, you can't hold a candle up to the number of people who lost their lives. And I think about specifically who has lost their lives, right? Like,
yes.
And which communities have been most directly affected. And we know that disproportionately it's Black and brown communities, the African American community especially, which for so many reasons has been more susceptible because of a lack of healthcare, because of pre-existing conditions, because of environmental racism, all the things that, TYT has talked about and you guys have talked about. But I think about people who've lost both their parents, their brother, their cousin, people who've lost their entire family or whose neighborhoods have seen that kind of loss. And you just gotta wonder, like, if those communities were predominantly white, if they were in the OC, like, wouldn't we be having flags at half mast and like some kind of salute like every single day? Every single day, if this were affecting the wealthier and the whiter of Americans.
Yeah, or even just white Americans. Would we have the protest movements that we have right now if it had already hit Georgia and Texas and Kentucky the way it's likely to as a result of the actions currently being undertaken by its governors? I don't know. Obviously, there is certainly the class element, but I think the racial element is incredibly robust too. I mean, how many mass shootings have like stopped the nation?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those historic mass shootings every 40 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, I just saw two people in the comments posted the current number, and it's 69,011. Since I screen capped it, 300 people have been added to that list. 300.
Yeah.
Like, that by itself would be a major story. It is just a minor update to this story. And I know for a lot of the people who are tuning in the show, they're probably in a very high percentile of taking this seriously and tracking it day by day. But even for this show, which has become, let's admit it, for the past couple of months, it's coronavirus news. That's what it is. I think it's too easy to gloss over how many people have died, how many more will, and we're going to get to that in a second, but how fast it's spread. I saw a tweet from Ryan Strike, and it was the death tolls on March 3rd, April 3rd, and May 3rd. So 1 month apart. And on March 3rd, reported U.S. coronavirus deaths were 9. On April 3rd, it was 7,152. On May 3rd, it was 67,682. I mean, the growth is just insane. And so everybody has to then insert, okay, well then what happens on June 3rd? Is it 100,000, which would be progress? Is it 150? Is it 250? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that number that we are stopping to acknowledge for the tragedy it is, for some people, it's the mark of a great success. You saw Jared Kushner talking about that a week and a half ago, that this is a great success. And even at Donald Trump's Lincoln Memorial town hall that he just did, he's rapidly revising his estimates.
We did the right thing. I do look back on it because my attitude was, we're not going to shut it down. Look, we're going to lose anywhere from 75, 80 to 100,000 people. That's a horrible thing. We shouldn't lose one person over this. This should have been stopped in China. It should have been stopped. But if we didn't do it, the minimum we would have lost is 1.2 million, 1.4 million, 1.5 million. That's the minimum. We would have lost probably higher than 2.2. You know the way you have to look at that? I've never seen death like this. I've never personally experienced anything like it.
Okay, yeah. No, he hasn't experienced anything like it. I would argue that he's not experiencing any of it right now, because when you use that term, you mean that you are thinking about, you are empathizing with all of that. He's not doing that. He's seeing polls, I guess, but he clearly doesn't care about the number of people who've died. He's still in once again moving the goalpost. Now it's going to be 75, 80,000, 100,000. 75,000? What a goddamn lie to tell the American people last night. Yeah, I think only 7,000 more people are going to die.
Insane.
I think we're going to get it in the next 7,000. No, in 3 days, 7,000 more people are going to die. And he's going to have to once again update the estimate. And every time he updates it, every time he pushes the number, that unfathomable tragedy that we're still in the middle of, it will again be the mark of a great success, because he can just make up some larger number that he saved by what? By stopping travel from China and stopping the spread of coronavirus in America. Again, over 1.1 million cases, he still thinks he stopped it from spreading.
Yep. I didn't hear the quote just then, but I did watch it. John, just making sure that your audio is good and people can hear it. But I feel like the word for Trump is a Spanish language word, but it's in English too. And I used to use it a lot. And it is animal. But you have to say animal. Es un animal. Like, you know, animal means you're such an idiot. You're such a brute, and you don't care about your ignorance. You don't care about how nasty, what a POS you are. You don't care about any of it. You're like, you gloat in your own ignorance and like brutishness. Yeah. Es un animal. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know math. 2 + 2 is 5. And, 69,000 coronavirus deaths today means only 75,000 in total.
Yeah.
Absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I think, you know what, we don't have a cure, and in fact, many states are reopening, but I think that the number of deaths is going to plummet. Why? I don't know, because that'd be cool, I guess. That's what our leader is saying. And so he lied to you there. It's consistent with a pattern of lying. Last week, he said 60 to 70,000 would die. Last week. We're at 70,000 now. And it's not like it jumped up out of the blue. The same roughly 1,800 to 2,200 Americans continue to die every day as has been. So it's just a pattern of lying. And consistent even going back further. So on April 20th, that's just 2 weeks ago, he said the figure could be 50 to 60,000. There had already been 40,000 then. Remember those glory days 2 weeks ago when 30,000 less Americans had died? From this thing that is totally not serious and totally not a tragedy, according to Fox News. They continue to say that. And by the way, like, you can listen to what he says to get an idea, or you can take a look at the evidence. If he thinks that only 7,000 more Americans are going to die, it would be a weird move for the federal government to order 100,000 body bags 2 weeks ago. That would have been a big waste of money if you thought that we had already experienced 92% of the deaths that we're going to experience.
I mean, and this is what is, I think, so devastating about this moment is that we're being gaslit as a nation. And so we constantly have to remind ourselves that what we're feeling, how we're grieving, the severity of this pandemic is real. You know, we're constantly fighting to remember that, because there is absolutely no national leadership. And I would argue not enough leadership from Democrats. Yes, of course, in concrete stimulus, but in nightly news or nightly, what was FDR's thing? Like any kind of messaging. Like I just want like forget it. I just want Marianne Williamson to go live every single night and just talk to us, tell us that it's not going to be.
Oh, we might have a bit of a connection problem here. We're going to see if that. Okay. Poor network connection. Well, we're currently running up against the fact that literally every American is on the internet right now. So we're gonna try to reconnect with her, and maybe we can get that sound problem fixed. And we're gonna do this live because it's YouTube. We're gonna see what happens. Thank you everyone for bearing with us. I'm gonna give it a second. Okay, I'm assuming that she's probably in the process of restarting her Skype, so I'm going to give her 1 minute to do that and read a couple of the super chats that everyone's been sending in. Trust me, we have more where that came from. Let's see. Still Dubell says, thanks for all you do, Johnny and TDR crew. Side note to John, you probably wouldn't be pining for the gym so hard if you spent more time lifting that cute dog up in front of the camera. That is probably true. Or lifting basically anything. Aside from the occasional bike ride, I really haven't exercised much. But thank you for your thanks. And also for acknowledging that it is not just the people that you see on camera, that at multiple locations scattered around LA and in fact around the country, people are at work every day working to make sure that this show actually happens. And so thank you for that. Steven says, I'm in Nextdoor app jail for 15 days for stating historical facts and defending myself against Republican trolls, John and Brett 2024. I didn't know people got into political arguments on Nextdoor. Okay, so it looks like we're having a bit of problem. One sec. Okay. The magic and wonder of the internet. Miriam Wilson says, may the 4th be with you. Thank you, Miriam, and also with you. I will say that today is also apparently the day that Rise of Skywalker is available on Disney+. And I'm very excited to see that. And so maybe later on today, I will be tuning in to watch The Last Jedi, actually. Because I like that one. Okay. I need to watch it a second time. It's possible that it's better than I remember from my first experience. And really liking the previous one probably gave me too high of an expectation. Hello, how's it going? I'm going to guess that you are on your phone now.
I am so on my phone right now.
Yes? Okay, let's see what this looks like.
I don't know what happened.
That's not that bad, honestly. You know what? I'm gonna frame this up a little bit.
Okay, let me stay super still.
Okay. That's kind of cool. Nice little slice of life we got going on here.
You were right. You were right.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna talk.
Should I do vertical?
That was amazing.
How about this? Am I just sideways now?
I like that. No, that works for me. Can you get it a little bit more headroom there?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's looking good. Do you see us? Do you see the image?
I see the image.
Okay, good. Well, you know what? I like it. I say we go with it for now. Because you know what? There's no alternative. So what are we gonna do? But anyway, welcome back. I was just reading some super chats and people were wishing us a May the 4th be with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Let's see. John Chavez says, by mentioning a like button tax, you just triggered Trump's 6 cents. Thanks, John. Thanks, John. Charlie Ellis says, Happy Star Wars Day. Happy Star Wars Day to you as well. So thank you. And Jacqueline, I appreciate your little emoji there. Rob Shively says, we have the best numbers, tremendous numbers. No one's ever seen numbers like this. And they won't see them again because they're changing so rapidly. Zane says, Frenafio, how was your weekend twitching, Johnny Pie? Thank you. Yes, so I had previewed with Jordan this last week. Uh-oh. Issues happening there. We're gonna okay, there, that looks good. That I was doing a charity stream that Jordan Ewell is an online, he's a progressive activist. He organized a charity stream of Fortnite to raise money for it's an organization that provides healthcare services for homeless individuals, and he raised like $6,500, and so everyone was awesome in donating.
Wow.
Generally donating to make the game harder for us, make us get rid of our best weapons and stuff like that. But it was fun, and even though they made me drop my lightsaber, we did win one round, so that was very exciting. Hey, Bobby, come here.
Sorry, I don't hear nerd, so I don't understand the language.
You don't? Well, we apparently have just hit 1,000 likes, so...
Yay!
This is Abby. Hey, Abby.
And this is Ramona.
What? 2 pets? Hey, you see
Two
the cat?
pets.
Rawr. Rawr. Oh.
We get
I
2
love
pets
animals.
today.
She doesn't
Yeah,
live
happy
in town,
Monday.
though. So I'm going to let her down. But, oh my god, your cat is adorable, by the way.
She is really adorable.
Very
She's a
cute.
little melted Oreo. That's what she is.
Okay, let's see. So I just, really fast, I got a message in the document from Bart Kyle. It says, John, The Rise of Skywalker gets a little better after a second viewing, but still, Last Jedi is worse. Get out of my document, Bart. Maybe it gets better, but that does not mean it's better than Last Jedi.
Wait, where? I forget the names of the last 3, but I like them.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Is that okay to say?
I liked them all. I really liked 2, and I loved 1 of them. So that's totally
Yes, you're
fine.
right. The last one, which was what was it called? The last sky walker.
Exactly. It was a long title, barely fit on the poster. You idiots, you need to edit it. Anyway, okay, with that, why don't we jump back into the news? Let's see. Okay. If you're trying to get an idea of exactly where we're going to be at in a month, in 2 months when it comes to coronavirus, you need to be really careful who you listen to, because if you just listen to what Trump and his team is saying publicly, you might think it's not going to be that bad. I mean, you have things like Trump with a new ad just out today touting the American comeback. Like, we're on the rebound, everybody. What are you so worried about? But if you have stayed tuned with the breaking news of this morning, you find out that internally, not necessarily looking so good. As President Trump presses for states to reopen their economies, his administration is privately projecting a steady rise in the number of cases and deaths from coronavirus over the next several weeks, reaching about 3,000 daily deaths on June 1st. According to an internal document obtained by the New York Times, that is nearly double the current average deaths per day. So, Francesca, these are CDC documents that have just been acquired by the New York Times and spread. So he is still out there and was at the town hall saying they need to reopen. We got to get this thing back. Internally, based on current models, even models that don't have all of the states reopening, they're expecting a massive increase in cases and deaths over the next month or two.
Yeah, I mean, and this is where I think, it makes his bragging about the numbers even worse. But to find a silver lining of all of this, all you have to do is do the opposite of what Trump tells you to do. Like, the reason that the numbers have been less than 1 million at this point, which who knows with a second round or a second wave. But the reason that they've been lower than some of the initial, predictions is because of governors, is because Donald Trump explicitly said, don't look to me. I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not giving you help. I'm not helping you acquire respirators, masks, etc. Like, I will not mobilize the Defense Production Act like I should. So you're on your own. And the reason that the numbers have been tragically yet still lower than what we thought they were going to be is not because of his actions. So, like, this is the blueprint is whatever he says, just don't listen to what do the opposite.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to expand a little bit on the numbers. So these documents came up, by the way, just as we were doing our final prep for the show. But even at first glance, it is rough. So these projections, based on modeling by the CDC, forecast about 200,000 new cases each day by the end of the month. That's up from 25,000 cases now. They're expecting close to 10 times as many people to be infected every day as are being affected right now. And again, that's before we reopen everything, which they are working as if they're working on anything right now, it's to force states to reopen. And they're expecting thousands of additional deaths. Like, I understand that Trump he's picked this path. He thinks it's the best path for either the stock market in the short term or Republican electoral chances in the medium term. But all of the actual experts inside of his administration are saying that this is going to cost the lives, not of thousands of people, but additional thousands of people every single day going forward. And that's by June. That's not, and then June 2nd, we're good. That will then extend. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of additional lives. I mean, 3,000 per day, just for 1 month. Let's say that we were done after that. That's 90,000 additional people, more than the total death toll that we've had to this point. And the only work that they've done, as I said, is reopen the states and convince people that no amount of deaths actually matters, that you should not be horrified by this. It's something liberty, something freedom. This is what needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at this point he goes forward and gives aid only to the counties that voted for him. That's possible. Mm-hmm. Why not? Everything else has been so politicized. I'm surprised that these numbers even leaked out somehow about the reality of everything. I guess for me, I also feel like we're seeing a vacuum of leadership when it comes to healthcare, and especially if insurance companies believe that they are the good guys, that they are helping Americans get coverage, which we know they're not, but you would expect them to maybe speak up a little bit, maybe honor all of the nurses and doctors who are working tirelessly, who they, by the way, when, you know, this is not going on, or they're going to be putting through the bureaucratic ringer, not only of the patients, but of the hospitals and the doctors when it comes to billing for all of this, right? So like, you've got two traumas here. You've got one of the traumas is these EMT, the nurses, the ICU workers who have to see, you know, dozens of deaths and cardiac arrests a day. And then you have the trauma of how you're going to pay for all of this. I mean, how are you going to pay for a pandemic in a privatized healthcare system? So again, I'm sort of like, who's lifting up these doctors and these nurses, right? It's not the insurance companies. It's not the president. I think we know whose side they're on.
Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, like I'm honestly looking every day for just anyone who's going to tell the truth. That Birx sometimes does it. Fauci's generally pretty good. You know, the people in media who seem to be taking it like I don't know if you saw, but John Oliver had he did his whole episode on testing, the issues up until today, and then future issues too.
Nice.
And it looks like, I don't know for sure that it's connected, but he did a thing about how unreliable the antibody tests are. And this morning, the FDA announced that they're going to be requiring additional evidence for the efficacy of antibody tests for them to get. Maybe it's not connected, but I'm honestly happy for anyone to be doing the right thing. I feel overall, I know you're not supposed to say this. Everybody wants, like, the hosts that they follow to just always claim that they were always right and always successful and everything's going to be great. But it just feels every day like, you know, I sort of hoped that if we just put pressure on them, if we make sure that people have the factual information that they need, that, like, they're not gonna just let everyone die. And yet, no, it kind of looks like that. And the people on Fox News who have been, you know, they were minimizing it to begin with, just covering Trump's as pushing hydroxychloroquine, telling people the lockdowns aren't necessary, all of that. Like, they're getting record viewership. Greg Gutfeld, his show is now getting more views than, like, Stephen Colbert and stuff like that.
No.
Yeah. No. Everybody loves the misinformation. And, like...
Sorry, I can't hear Greg Gutfeld too early in the morning.
Exactly.
It's just like,
You know what, I'm probably not even supposed to say this. I'm just going to briefly say, I won't go into too much detail, but... So I write op-eds. My op-eds generally tend to be critical of people and organizations. My last one on the Hill was very critical of Joe Biden. My op-ed this weekend didn't run because it wasn't accepted. I've never had an op-ed not be accepted before. I didn't get any reason for it, but I will say it was incredibly critical of Fox News and the misinformation that they've been spreading. And this one, it's the first one ever to not be accepted. They're making so much money spreading misinformation. They
on
don't
the Hill?
need yeah, it's not going to be running. I mean, we're going to spread it, but it's not accepted for publication. I don't know why. No reason was given. So
Well,
all I did, by the way, it was littered with citations to particular misinformation that had been spread. But what are you going to do?
I mean,
we did our best.
yeah. John, the Hill, I love your op-eds, but the Hill is also run by a friend of Rudolph Giuliani's, and he's a big old right-winger.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I don't know. There might be a connection.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to submit it other places. I will say that. And I'm very thankful for the ones that they have run. As I said,
Good.
they've run all
Yes.
of the others. So thank you for that. But anyway, why don't we move on to some other news? We're going to lighten it up a little bit into the world of the absurd. Yesterday, Donald Trump held a town hall at the foot of Lincoln, at the Lincoln Memorial. That's an image that never should have been allowed to be created, but it was, and it led to some equally absurd comments like this.
I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes of which no president has ever seen. The closest would be that gentleman right up there. They always said Lincoln. Nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse.
He's treated worse than Lincoln. People were much more fair to Lincoln.
There's an inch, like, I think he just named it because he thought of a president.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I mean, arguably Lincoln, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about like Lincoln's legacy and Donald Trump. There's actually nothing to be said. There's no real correlation. But Lincoln was pressured from both the right and the left. He was pressured to basically abolish slavery from the left. And then he was hammered from the right because he didn't actually want to do it. So anyway, the point is that there's some sort of relationship between that and Trump, who was like, we never should have abolished it anyway, which is probably what he thinks.
Yeah, I get that he's talking about like criticism, I suppose, but like read the room, and the room that you're in is the Lincoln Memorial. The dude was shot for what he did. It's a really weird, like if he was in a room with Jesus on the cross, are you sure that he wouldn't say he's been treated worse than Jesus? Are you sure of that? I'm not sure. Anyway, just briefly, here's what I want to turn to. So what he's saying there is, the media's not fair to me. They're fake news, they lie, they're vicious. And so I'm gonna play this video. This video is continuing from what you just saw. So he's going to give an explanation for why he doesn't understand why they're so mean to him. And I want to watch this, and then I want to explain what's going on.
You're there, you see those press conferences. They come at me with questions that are disgraceful, to be honest, disgraceful. Their manner of presentation and their words. And I feel that if I was kind to them, I'd be walked off the stage. I mean, they come at you with the most horrible, horrendous, biased questions. And you see it, 94 or 95% of the press is hostile. And yet, if you look in Florida today, we had hundreds and hundreds of boats going up and down the intercoastal, Trump. We have tremendous support. But the media they might as well be in the Democrat Party. And why, I don't know. We fixed our military, we fixed the vet. You know, if you look at the VA, you take a look at what's going on with our vets. They have choice now, and we have accountability. We're able to get rid of people that don't treat our vets well. They've been trying to do that for 44 years. And because of civil service and the unions, you couldn't do it. The biggest thing is choice. We've done choice where if a vet can't see a doctor quickly, they go outside, they get a doctor, they get fixed up, we pay the bill, instead of waiting for 5 weeks, 7 weeks.
Okay, so he doesn't understand because of all of his accomplishments. Do you know where this is going, Francesca?
I don't know. I think he's gonna make some sort of comparison to a war. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, he did focus. All of his accomplishments are always something related to a bullet being fired. So it's the military, it's vets, it's Second Amendment, it's the wall, whatever. No, it's that he said the media is unfair to me. They're liars. They're aggressive. Why are they so mean? Why are they not fair? And I don't get it because I've had such success. I rebuilt the military. I gave them veterans choice, even though, as many people have said over and over again, the choice program was passed in 2014 under President Barack Obama. So in his defense of why he doesn't get why reporters are so critical of him, he lies about this program. And the reason I mention this is not, hey, we caught him in a lie. That's easy. He has told this particular lie literally hundreds of times over the past few years. He got into office, it was already passed under a different president. And so I have to wonder, is he just so jealous of the program that he has to pretend that he passed it? Or does he literally not know what year things happened? Does he not know how long he's been president? Is his brain melting right before our very eyes?
Yes, his brain is melting. He doesn't know that he wasn't the one to pass it. Also, famously, the Trump administration has been trying to further privatize the VA. There's been a lot of great reporting about how the VA was essentially a gift handed to him, like 3 or 4 cronies out of Mar-a-Lago. Can't remember their names right now, but they straight up have been conspiring to privatize the VA, right? And essentially like have failed at even doing something like that. But you just got to look to recent news when it comes to the VA and how well it's working and how well it's actually serving and honoring veterans, which is that there was some giant scheme to get 6 million masks to the VA, right? That was doled out to a rando, like some random, like, you know, consultant firm, whatever, some dude set up like a few months ago. There's a huge piece in the Times about this. And it's still unclear, how did this guy get through to the VA to get a contract, which he actually never delivered on?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is what's happening is like the VA, you've done nothing with the VA. I mean, this like, get veterans out of your mouth.
Exactly. We're going to word that a different way next time. But yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're critical of you because you constantly lie and attack them and just shroud yourself in this bizarre victim complex. I'm not going to go into it in depth again because I know that we talk about this literally every week, but I don't understand how you can simultaneously believe that the right is full of strong, tough alpha males and they just whine constantly about how mean people are to them. I don't understand how both of those things can be true in your mind. Anyway, let's catch up a little bit on some of the super chats, see what people are saying. Christina says, Contagion is on HBO now. Watch it and see how close they were to what is actually happening. It was terrifying when it was released, and more so now. I haven't actually seen it. I've been thinking about watching Outbreak. Really like that
you should
movie.
see both.
Yes. Back to
and
back.
by the way, we're like, there is no moment where we actually save the day. Like in Contagion, it's really sad, but eventually they find like the antidote.
Spoiler. Thanks a lot.
Spoiler, everyone dies.
Yeah, they shoot the monkey in Outbreak, so have fun with that.
The monkey from Outbreak comes back into Contagion. It's like this whole like cameo.
They should have contained it. That's so dangerous. Also started Planet of the Apes. Hendrik says, why isn't there more news about the bad antibody test that gives fake negatives and the FDA letting that happen? Well, actually, it's funny because we just talked about John Oliver doing a lot of coverage of that. Terry Fuller says, we aren't any safer today than 1 month ago. Yeah, well, I would argue worse, because 1 month ago, people were relatively ready to comply with the advice of medical professionals. Every day, it seems like 1% more of the population says, no, I just want to go to Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, honestly. I don't care. If people get sick, especially if it's not me, I don't care. Uncle Bobby, thank you. Let's see. The Sing on the Left says, I love Franny Mondays. She owes us a cat appearance. You actually got your cat appearance. Hope you were watching.
You got that cat appearance.
You did. There needs to be a worker protest. I watched Rising today, and Crystal spoke about learning from the protesters the way that outrage leads to change. Yes. And, you know, I was really glad. There's lots of sorts of content that we produce that people don't watch, but we do it anyway because, you know, ethics and all that. But our thing on Friday about the International Workers' Day and the strikes and everything actually got a lot of views. It was like heartwarming that people cared enough to watch that. There's like so many topics that we'll talk about, like Yemen or climate change, and I know we'll do it. Nobody's gonna watch it. It's always nice when someone does, that they actually care about that. Anyway,
I mean, there's internal memos being released now. The you know, leaders of business are shook. They're scared of a labor movement revival, and I think we're seeing it.
I hope. Isis, thank you. Hector says, will this change our way of life permanently? I mean, it seems like in some ways, for, you know, an increasing number of people, it ended their life permanently, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really want the After Contagion movie, like the sequel where they just kind of rebuild. It's a lot more boring, but I feel like it'll just be like Animal Crossing. Like all of the Animal Crossing experience we have now will come in handy when we have to rebuild our society out of turnips.
We'll eat more fruit, I guess. Yeah, I didn't actually play enough to get into the stock market. Gianna says, Kitty and Pup, keep on being eye candy. Thank you. Matt, thank you for your thank you. And Ty Johnson, nice fox. I appreciate it. Okay, so we need to fit in a couple more stories, so I will be catching up a little bit later on some more of these. But let's move to something incredibly serious. So recently, sexual assault and sexual assault allegations have been a big part of the news. Finally, it was always good to see an open airing of these sorts of claims, particularly when they are about very powerful men who've generally and historically been shielded from even discussion of these sorts of things, let alone accountability. And so we've done a lot of coverage about Tara Reade's allegations against Joe Biden recently. I noticed that in that we generally have made comments about the fact that Donald Trump, of course, also has faced many accusations of sexual misconduct. And I've seen some people respond with that they're not very familiar with those. And generally, we don't go into depth. for one thing, I just assume that people know about these things. And for two, there are so many that it would take a lot of time. And so I just want to briefly touch base with some of the allegations that have been made against him so that people understand the context when these sorts of things are sort of vaguely alluded to. So, Francesca, I found some reporting recently. Business Insider did a pretty good roundup of all of this, and a few other places as well. So I want to briefly mention some of these so that these women's experiences aren't sort of taken out of the conversation. And we're also going to give the Trump campaign response to many of them. So just briefly, one of the oldest allegations was from his ex-wife, Ivana Trump, who said that Trump attacked her after he underwent a painful scalp reduction procedure done by a doctor she had recommended, tearing her clothes and yanking out a chunk of her hair. Quote, then he jams his penis inside of her for the first time in more than 16 months. Ivana is terrified. It is a violent assault. That is from the deposition written into a book in 1993. At the time, the author said, according to versions she repeats to some of her closest confidants, he raped me. Now, understand that since then, she has used different language, saying that she didn't mean literally raped her, that it was an emotional raping. Still, the response from Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, seems a little bit insensitive when he responded saying, you cannot rape your spouse. There's very clear case law. I'd respond differently, honestly, if I had been accused of that. I would not fall against, case law protects me. But that's one of the oldest, and that was actually, unlike many of these, that was someone he was actually involved with at the time.
Right.
Let's go to the second one. Let's see. This is an allegation made by Karen Johnson, who said she was a regular at Mar-a-Lago and said that Trump pulled her behind a tapestry and kissed and groped her without her consent during a New Year's Eve party there in the early 2000s. Johnson said Trump forcibly grabbed her genitals. Let's see. We have a response as well. This is from Stephanie Grisham, who said that book is trash and those accusations from 20 years ago have been addressed many times. She still feels like it hasn't been properly addressed. To be fair, let's acknowledge that. That was Karen Johnson. Let's see. The next is from E. Jean Carroll. This is one of the more recent allegations. This is a former Elle Advice columnist who accused President Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her by pinning her against the wall and forcing his penis inside of her in a department store in a dressing room in the mid-1990s. The response from the White House was, this is a completely false and unrealistic story surfacing 25 years after allegedly taking place and was created simply to make the president look bad. So one of the ties that bind all of these stories together is that the claim is generally this is just made up to hurt the president.
Yeah, right. Or sell books or whatever. I mean, and what's very painful about a lot of the accusations also is that they're deflected by women who work for Trump as sort of these, they're surrogates, and they're basically surrogates of patriarchy, I would say, to deny women their experiences and basically flat out accuse them of utilizing a false claim to launch a career or to sell a book, just completely bad faith. The E. Jean Carroll accusation I found really haunting. That's probably because she's just an incredible writer. And so her account was incredibly well remembered and described. Obviously, many people don't forget when they are sexually assaulted. But it was also really interesting because it was someone who she didn't hate before, like that she respected and she thought respected her because she was an acclaimed writer, an accomplished writer. And yet she was still raped by him in, I believe it was a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. And just how much that, I think took from her, and as obviously being not just assaulted, but disrespected in this, this is someone who he then, he's talked about how he would never, quote unquote, would never assault someone because they're not good looking enough or he didn't know them. This was someone who he absolutely knew. This was someone, I don't care about her looks or anything, but this was someone who he respected, arguably, ostensibly. And I think the worst part about, finally, just to say the E. Jean Carroll account, is that she says that she's never been intimate or had sexual relationships with anyone since that rape.
Jeez.
And it's just like, no, girl, like, oh my gosh, I know she's my elder, but I'm like, that like terrifies me. That's awful. Imagining if your last sexual encounter was Donald Trump assaulting you.
Yeah. And then being attacked nationally. And also, by the way, she says that she has a dress with his semen on it. She wants him to do a DNA test to match, and they, of course, refuse to do it. Even though it's totally made up. They could prove her wrong, honestly, by giving the DNA. They refuse to, of course. So it doesn't matter what evidence there is. They're always just going to say it was made up. Okay, let me describe a few more of these. There's an allegation from Jessica Drake. At an October 2016 press conference, adult film actress Jessica Drake accused Trump of grabbing and kissing her without permission. His response on the radio, this is from him, was, "One said he grabbed me on the arm, and she's a porn star. You know, this one that came out recently, he grabbed me, and he grabbed me on the arm. Oh, I'm sure she's never been grabbed before." So if it's not clear, let me translate that for regular people. He's saying porn stars get grabbed, and because of their work, the consensual sex work that they do, you can do whatever you want to them. They can't complain. It happens to them all the time. That was his defense against the claim of sexual assault was, she's a porn star. What's she complaining about? Let's see. The next is from Karen, Virginia. There's a bit of a typo there. Karen, Virginia is a yoga instructor and life coach. When she was 27, she overheard Trump talking with a group of men about her legs, and that Trump then approached her, grabbed her arm, and touched her breast before asking, "Don't you know who I am?" A representative for Trump said, "Give me a break. Voters are tired of these circus-like antics and reject these fictional stories." Okay. Then we have, honestly, here's the thing. We're going to go through several more, but there's literally dozens. They're just too many for us to actually go through. But Jessica Leeds, she's a former traveling salesperson, alleged that Mr. Trump grabbed her breasts and tried to put his hand up her skirt while on a first-class flight in the 1980s. Miss Leeds was in her late 30s at the time. Let's see, Jill Harth is a former business partner of Mr. Trump, said that Mr. Trump forcibly kissed her on the lips, groped her breasts, and grabbed her genitals in what she described in 1997 as an attempted rape. That occurred in Mar-a-Lago in one of his children's bedrooms. And so, and there are ones where he, in a stadium surrounded by thousands of his fans, as you said, implied, "I wouldn't have raped that person. They're not good looking enough. They wouldn't have been my first choice to sexually assault." He's saying it would have been my first choice to assault non-consensually. And anyway, so look, I am hoping that I know that some of the right is seeing the current climate and the fact that some people whose caring about claims of sexual assault is apparently not as robust as it had been implied to be, they are declaring victory over Me Too. There's an article in Daily Beast about that today, actually, that they believe, because Joe Biden has been accused and because some people clearly aren't that bothered by it because it's Joe Biden, that is the straw that will break the camel's back, that the entire Me Too thing is going to go away because now everyone will be proven to have been a hypocrite. I hope that that's not the case for women's sake. And I will say, I am thankful of all of the people who are actually consistent in caring about all of these claims. Let's remember all of them.
Yes. I mean, and I think that it's important as progressives and as Democrats to actually take stock of the amount of assaults and rape allegations that this current president has against them. I mean, this is the moment of hell that we're in, where, yes, it does actually matter how many people have accused you of assault. That's somehow we're talking about that. And as a woman, I mean, I thought Trump's campaign was absolutely done after there was videotape of him admitting that he assaults women proudly, right? I was like, oh, that's it. But then, of course, we see an entire political party throw an entire gender under the bus, right? That absolutely doesn't matter. He's still going to be our candidate. He is still going to be the front runner. He's our nominee. He's our guy. So basically, women don't matter completely. And that's how it felt. And honestly, we have to try and think of this not as a partisan thing. This is not Democrat, Republican. It's not left. It's not right. if we're going to look at sexual assault, we have to apply, our principles and the law evenly. And if you're looking in a court of law, and this sounds so crass, but to be honest with you, Trump would get more years for the amount of rape and the amount of assault than, let's say, Joe Biden. And that's awful to say, but again, this is the realm of hell that I think women have always been asked to live within, and also the realm of hell that we currently find ourselves. That being said, there has been, I do think there's sort of a marked difference in how Democrats have dealt with the Tara Reade story. And I've been really heartened to see that the last week, a lot of them have been speaking up. A lot of prominent leaders, media figures have been talking about it openly, Me Too movement leaders. And I think it does matter that Biden said women should be believed and listened to, but this didn't happen, right? He said he denied that it happened. That is a marked difference than saying she's not good looking enough for me to rape. Once again, markers of hell, gradations of evil.
Yeah, I do think that there has been a bit of a turn in the media coverage, which is good. Overall, though, I try to imagine, what if you were a woman right now who has been sexually assaulted and hasn't told anyone? Watching the last couple of weeks, how little faith would you have that people would care? You'd have to wonder, well, what's the political affiliation of the person that sexually assaulted me? Is that going to be acceptable? Who's going to be attacking me based on what I say about this? It's just, It is a worst case scenario. As so many things are these days, I feel like we are in the worst case scenario.
Yeah, women once again are being used as pawns, as they always have been, and their assault allegations are used for political fodder. Yeah.
Okay, we are going to have to cruise through to more stories. I will be reading your super chats a little bit later on, but I don't want to keep Francesca for an hour and 45 minutes or anything. So we're going to proceed to our next story. From the very beginning, as coronavirus was beginning to spread in China, as it spread to countries in the region and eventually hit America, we have had to grapple with a massive amount of misinformation being spread around it. In some cases by people who are simply ignorant of what they're talking about. In other cases by parties who are once again monetizing and weaponizing fake news. They are enriching themselves by lying to people. And one area, regrettably, that has been fairly unsuccessful in combating this misinformation so far is one of the platforms we're broadcasting to right now, and that is YouTube. So let's go through some of the examples of extremely widespread misinformation. On April 16th, Next News Network posted a video suggesting that the novel coronavirus was a false flag attack meant to force people into getting mandatory vaccines and microchips. It was only taken down after the video received nearly 7 million views. And though it was removed, other channels just re-uploaded the video, illustrating just how fruitless moderation efforts can be. So that video was 7 million views. On April 15th, BuzzFeed reported on a YouTube video that recommended people treat COVID-19 with vitamin C. Okay, that video in particular was mentioned by YouTube's CEO as an example of the content that the site was removing. That was on April 19th. At the time of BuzzFeed's story, the video, which was posted 9 days earlier, had been viewed 6 million times. As of May 1st, the video remains live on YouTube and has more than 7.2 million views. So the thing that was specifically cited by YouTube as misinformation is still there, racking up the views, and many of these things, of course, are monetized. People are making thousands and thousands of dollars by purposefully lying to people who are just desperately trying to find out what's going on so that they can protect themselves and the people that they care about.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's parent is now being radicalized by YouTube. The algorithm, the algorithm keeps on ticking. And I think we know, and the studies are there, that actually fake news spreads faster than real news, that fiction spreads faster than fact. And we get that. We understand how clickbait works. We are people of the internet, and we like the best weapon we have against it is to actually fact check, double check, flag things when they're clearly false. But YouTube does not take any of this actually seriously. How can it when its economic model is based on actually selling these lies? I mean, let's be real, right? I wish that this video right here was going to get 7 million views in a week. How long did it take to get 7 million views?
Yeah.
But yeah, if I claim that I was touched by aliens and, he told me that he was a Bill Gates surrogate and that, George Soros paid me to test 5G out on my cat. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? We would get the views.
Yep. 100%.
And we would make YouTube and Google and a lot of other people money, but we're trying to report fact. We're trying to give honest opinions.
I'm trying. And to give you an example of how it works. So like a week or two ago, Diamond and Silk were taken off of Fox Nation. It's fairly shocking, but they were taken off for spreading misinformation. But the thing is, like, their live streams where they say that, Bill Gates is using the virus to push for population control, 5G towers, mess with your DNA and create coronavirus, the hospitals are all empty. Those videos are still up on YouTube. Too crazy for Fox, monetizable on YouTube. That's the thing. And they do it, of course, because they know that it'll make money. I mean, the thing is that's one of the things that's bothering me. We talked earlier about how the fact that, like, I'm just going to say Gigi. I'm not going to say his full name. Is now getting more viewers than Stephen Colbert. These liars and grifters get views because the right, the crazies, you know what they do? They tune in. Every crazy right-winger is on Twitter right now. Every one of them. And they have multiple YouTube videos loaded and they're watching, and they all watch Fox. Like leftists watch a lot of different things. They also read, which is, that's really frustrating if you do a video site. But they do all this stuff, but the right all participates in watching the couple of things that the right has. And so it works. Do you know how rare a 7 million view video is for this channel where we just like read facts and then give our opinion about it? It hasn't happened. We get lots of views. We get 1 million views every like day and a half or whatever, but not off of individual videos, because lying always works better than telling the truth in terms of being able to monetize and get an audience. That is one of the most frustrating things, is that
people are ignorant AF. It's just like, come on, John Iadarola is making this so easy for you. You don't need a subscription to Business Insider. He's going to read it for you. You don't need to read the whole Salon article. He's going to read it for you.
Well, maybe not Salon, but sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah,
but that's the thing, though, is like, it's like we actually, and honestly, a lot of the news is like that today anyway. Like, you turn on MSNBC, they're pretty much just reading, as Brett would say, the New York Times out loud.
Yeah. I came across a guy on Twitter that is, he's a QAnon guy. I don't know, that's his identity. Isn't that weird? He just QAnon talks about QAnon. He makes videos about QAnon. QAnon has been in the news for 2 years, 3 years maybe. So let's assume, I don't know, because if I were to do more research into this guy, I'd kill myself. Let's say he started at the beginning making QAnon content. He has 750,000 Twitter followers. I've been doing this for years and years. I talk about actual things that happen. War and healthcare and the climate. I don't have I guess I have a fraction of that. Everything's a fraction. But it ain't a great fraction of the person who just talks about QAnon.
Yes.
The internet is an incredibly frustrating place to try to live if you care about what's real.
Absolutely. You've had, I'm just one really quick story. There is like a whole video about me done by some crazy right winger who just uses gaming footage instead of footage of me. And he has no idea where I'm from, what my ethnicity is. Oh, he figured out I'm Chinese, and then was like that. It's called me a communist, and that I'm like covering for the government of China. I got the video taken down, but then they reviewed it and they put it back up. And the best part about this video, is that it's sponsored. Like,
who's it sponsored by?
It's something like like some like Norton antivirus. It's like some
no.
It's around there. Well, he like takes a moment out of like calling me a dirty communist who's covering for the Republic of China to then like be like, Veridesk allows you to stand up and sit down while you type.
No, I want it to be like, she's a dirty commie. She's lying about the 5G towers. Oh, it makes me so mad. I need some tea. Flat tummy tea. The only tea that'll flatten your tummy. What a weird world we live in. Anyway. Okay. We've just hit an hour thank you so much, Francesca, for joining us. I know we had a bit of an internet problem, but man, you snapped back from it super fast. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it.
I feel like I've been twisted around this entire time.
I don't know. I think it looks pretty good for your like quick little solution.
It looks like I'm in a horror film, I feel like.
A little bit. That's the vibe we were going for.
Cool.
But anyway, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Wait, is the voting still going on?
Oh my God, thank you so much for reminding me. John Iadarola, love you so much.
Thank you.
Newsbroke, which is my web show, has been nominated for a Webby, which is like the Oscars for people who have always been in sweatpants even before the quarantine. So vote for Newsbroke. We've been nominated for Best Series in News and Politics. You can vote for the next, I think, 4 days. Look at my Twitter and vote for it, please. I need you.
That would be awesome. Thank you. But if you don't win, it's probably because you made the terrible decision of making videos where you just like tell the truth.
That's true.
But anyway, best of luck to you. Hope
thank you, John.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good week.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. For everyone at home, let me see what you all have been saying. We had obviously the tech problems and stuff like that, so it was a little bit difficult to touch base with the stuff in the middle of it, but I do want to catch up, so I'm going to try, do my best. Hilltop Ironworks says, Bo of the fifth column suggests a memorial wall akin to the Vietnam Memorial with our current legislator's name at its base. Not a bad idea. It's interesting. Yeah, a log of the people that unnecessarily died. Maybe, I mean, the government's definitely not going to do it, but maybe somebody could crowdsource a memorial like that. Lisa B says, why does our government want to kill us? I'm scared. I don't think it's that they want to kill you. They're just willing to let you die. That's a little bit less scary. Kurt says, go vegan, mofos. You and I are the cause of this pandemic. We are worse than the bad eaters. This is collective karma. I don't know if it wouldn't have happened if more people were vegan, but certainly this seems like a good time to try. Madeline says, in honor of May 4th, my wife will beat Saber the theme of Mandalorian. She's let me sleep during Star Wars movies, so I'm cool with the nerd she is. Why would you sleep during a Star Wars movie? Name Withheld says, I'm confused. Trump said COVID is man-made, created in a lab, and also not created in a lab. How is it both? Well, there was Pompeo in that video, which we almost covered today, where he appears to say both. I think it was a misunderstanding. I think he was saying it's not, but there is a lot of misinformation coming out. Let's see. Ryan L says, I came late. Have we hit the murder hornets yet? What about UFOs? Yellowstone supervolcano eruption 2020 bringing natural disaster to a gunfight? Yeah, we didn't talk about the murder hornets. Scary. Regular hornets, scary enough. J. Emanuel, thank you. Zane says, ER director at New York Presbyterian Hospital committed suicide. Yeah, I did read that story. That was very, very sad. Again, like, you never know, like, a story will start and you never know that it's going to be the thing that's going to affect your life in this particular way. Like that individual could have never known that Trump getting elected in 2016 would lead to us wiping out our ability to deal with a pandemic. And then once it starts to hit, we ignore it. So we're so overburdened with cases that health professionals start committing suicide. Like, that chain of events is as dark as anything I could imagine. Zane says, what? I wanted to read your op-ed. Bummer. Well, it'll be available. We're going to make it available, just not necessarily through there. And it's possible maybe they'll publish a shorter version or something like that. Like, op-eds get rejected. It happens. I'm just frustrated because I put a lot of work into it. So I want people to read it. I don't just do this for funsies. It's fun, but I want people to read it. 0011111 says, do you think Trump's foot dragging during this pandemic might be intentional as a form of population control rather than just incompetence? No, I don't believe so. He's never, to me, given off any sort of interest in that as a solution to humanity's problems. Isabel says, I wish Trump was treated like Lincoln. Someone, okay. Let's not. Everybody, let's not. Benjamin says, finally got a chance to start watching True North. Great series and well worth it. John, what got you started in environmental activism? Thank you. Well, look, I would say, like, I think a far better label for me is someone who tries to amplify the work of environmental activists, rather. Like, I protest and all that stuff, and I did the doc, but that's mostly, like, it wasn't me doing something. I just want to find the people who are doing this stuff and make sure that as many people as possible know about them. That's one of the reasons we started talking about Greta so early, before she was, this international superstar. I want to amplify the efforts of all these people that are doing good work, both in the environment and many other areas. But thank you for enjoying it, and I hope that everyone is. The thing on the left says, my cousin works as a doctor for the VA. It is not going well. It's just as bad or worse for them during this crisis. Lack of PPE, lack of support, not good. But you would never know that to listen to the president. Bad Rongo says, may the 4th be with you, John. THX so much. Oh, thanks so much for all the news and content. Thank you. I appreciate that. And may the 4th be with you as well. Das Bois Fleisch says, if Trump has military money to waste, I hope he spends it on Space Force instead of a senseless war. Yes, unless the spending on Space Force is eventually used for senseless wars as well. Gianna says, I'm a biology professor. This week I assigned True North 1 and 2 as required viewing for our discussion on humans and the environment. Thank you so much. That is very nice of you. I hope that they enjoyed it. And by the way, like some of the scientists that I talked to on the research vessel that I went on, they would probably be more than happy to Skype in if it would be helpful for your show. Great scientists doing continuing work and have since the show originally aired. Zane says this virus is just a part of our world forever now. Maybe. I mean, we could be stuck with it for a long time. Hopefully, eventually a vaccine will be available. Matt says homeless folks are in trouble. I know many. Yes, I saw today the numbers rising in LA as well. Zane says Trump has zero shame and no conscience whatsoever. You're not wrong. Aaron Johnson says, you keep me sane in the current media climate. Thank you. And Zane says they give Webbies to non-pants-wearing news hosts. Paul says, love TDR. Workers of the world unite. Thank you. Malbec says, the Republicans want to rush on Independence Day. Could it be any more obvious why it's in their best interest to let us die? I think there might have been something left out of that. But thank you for the super chat. Lisa says, thank you for talking about this. My father, who's a well-respected businessman, sexually assaulted me. He didn't deny it, but he blamed me, as did my mother and brother. We no longer talk. Lisa, I'm so sorry about that. It really does seem like we're going backwards in that area. Let's see. Oh, I set this comment aside. So this was from Mr. Self-Destruct. Just a comment in the YouTube chat. It said, the fact I get my news from someone who loves Westworld and episode 8 is easily the worst part of 2020. Hey, that season of Westworld was pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. I liked it a lot more than the second one. The second one was fine. I just like this better. Let's see. Okay, Bart finessed his comment and says he does think The Last Jedi is better than Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. And he does like Westworld. Okay, let's see. On the comments at hashtag TDR Live, Jeff Hinadial says, I like The Last Jedi too. Solidarity. Thank you. Gabby says, yay, Francesca's my like button supervisor. Thank you. And we did hit 1,000 very quickly today. So thank you, everybody. Voice of Thunder gave us a gif of Groot dancing with a happy, fantastic Monday. Thank you. And Gabby says, imagine if TWA Flight 800 crashed 10 times every day. That's about the US COVID-19 death rate. Jesus. Wow. Oh, and we do have a couple of Twitch comments. Cello Livia says, yes, finally TYT on Twitch. Thank you. And there's original content planned for Twitch in the near future as well. Cyberpunk Mike says, two of my favorite people on Earth. Thank you for that as well. I'm going to have to check that Twitch section a little bit earlier on in the program from now on. But thank you, everybody. I know that this was a bit longer of an episode. Wanted to make sure that the comments and questions you were leaving for us, we actually responded to. But thank you so much for joining us. Sort of serious, dark episode, as they tend to be. But thank you so much for following along and being so supportive of the channel and the network. I really do appreciate that. And I will talk to you soon.